kids, where are you? It's time for all the art to tell stories.
Chapter 1. The Lonely Child. In a small village nestled in the hills, a boy named Liang lived with his grandmother. Since his parents had moved to the city for work, Liang often felt lonely, especially during the Lunar New Year when other families gathered to celebrate. While the village bustled with preparations, lanterns hung high, drums echoed, and the aroma of dumplings filled the air. Liang sat quietly by the pond, gazing at the reflection of the moon. "I wish I had someone to celebrate with," he whispered. Chapter 2. A Visitor from the Moon. Far above, the Jade rabbit heard Liang's soft wish. Sitting in her celestial palace on the moon, she felt a pang of sympathy. No one should feel lonely during the new year, she thought. The Jade rabbit decided to visit Liang. She packed a special gift, a glowing jade pendant symbolizing love and friendship, and descended to earth on a beam of moonlight. Chapter 3. A Surprising Encounter. Liang was startled when a soft glow lit up the pond. Emerging from the light was the Jade rabbit, her silvery fur shimmering under the moonlight. "Don't be afraid," she said gently. "I've come to spend New Year's Eve with you." Liang's eyes widened in awe. "Are you really the Jade rabbit from the moon?" he asked. She nodded with a warm smile, extending a paw. "Come with me. Let's create a celebration you'll never forget." Chapter 4. Preparing for the festivities. The Jade rabbit and Liang worked together to prepare for the new year. She taught him how to craft intricate paper lanterns that glowed like tiny moons. Together, they made dumplings, with the rabbit skillfully folding the dough into perfect crescents. As they worked, the Jade rabbit shared stories of her life on the moon, her role in grinding herbs for the immortal elixir, and her dedication to spreading kindness. Liang listened intently, his loneliness melting away. Chapter 5. Spreading the Glow. The Jade rabbit noticed the other children in the village were also spending the evening apart, busy with chores or too shy to join the larger festivities. "Kindness grows when shared," she said. Carrying a lantern, Liang followed the Jade rabbit to visit the other children. Together, they invited everyone to a gathering by the pond. The rabbit's magical touch turned simple decorations into breathtaking displays, and the children marveled at the glowing jade pendant she wore. Chapter 6. A Magical New Year's Eve. By the pond, the children gathered, their lanterns reflecting in the still water. The Jade rabbit told tales of the moon, weaving a story of unity and celebration. She encouraged the children to share their hopes for the new year. Inspired, Liang shared his wish for friendship and happiness. Other children shared theirs. One wanted courage, another wished for health for their family. The rabbit listened and nodded, knowing that the act of sharing brought them closer together. Chapter 7. The Special Gift. As the night deepened, the Jade rabbit presented the jade pendant to Liang. "This is a symbol of friendship and the power of kindness, but it's not meant to be kept forever," she said. She explained that the pendant should be passed along whenever someone saw another in need of comfort. "Its light will guide them, just as it guided you tonight." Chapter 8. A New Tradition. The next day, Liang gathered the villagers to share his extraordinary New Year's Eve. The Jade rabbit had returned to the moon, but her gift remained, a glowing pendant and a story of unity. Inspired, the villagers decided to start a new tradition. Each new year, the jade pendant would be given to someone who needed a reminder of love and friendship. They called it the Jade Rabbit's Blessing. Chapter 9. A glow across the village. The pendant became a cherished symbol, passed from family to family, bringing comfort and joy. Liang was no longer lonely. He had friends who cherished him, and a village that celebrated together. Every New Year, Liang looked up at the moon, grateful for the Jade Rabbit's kindness. He always wondered if she could see the happiness her visit had inspired. Epilogue: The Rabbit's Watchful Eye. High above, the Jade Rabbit smiled as she watched the villagers' glowing lanterns, her heart warmed by the joy she had brought to Earth. From then on, every new year she looked down upon the world, knowing that her message of kindness and unity would continue to shine as brightly as the moon itself. This touching tale of friendship and the importance of sharing joy during the Lunar New Year reminds children of the value of kindness and unity, leaving them with a heartwarming lesson as they drift off to sleep. Chapter 1. The festival's anticipation. In the vibrant village of Lianhua, preparations for the Lunar New Year festival were in full swing. The streets were adorned with red lanterns, and the scent of dumplings and sweet rice cakes filled the air. Every year, the highlight of the festival was the lighting of the grand Firecracker, a massive, brightly decorated piece symbolizing good luck and prosperity for the entire village. This year, the responsibility of unveiling and lighting the firecracker had fallen to Mr. Zhang, the village elder. Children buzzed with excitement, particularly a group of friends: Ming, the curious leader; Lei, the puzzle solver; Mei, the brave one; and Jia, the artistic dreamer. They couldn't wait for the big moment. Chapter 2. The Shocking Discovery. The day before the festival, the group of children decided to visit the village square to catch a glimpse of the famous firecracker. When they arrived, however, they were met with chaos. Villagers were gathered in confusion, and Mr. Zhang was wringing his hands. "It's gone," he exclaimed. "The grand firecracker has vanished." The children exchanged worried glances. Without the firecracker, the festival would lose its magic. Determined to save the celebration, Ming declared, "We'll find it." Chapter 3. Clues in the Dust. The children began their investigation at the square. Lei noticed faint wheel tracks in the dusty ground. Someone must have taken it with a cart, he deduced. The tracks led them to the edge of the village, but before following further, they decided to question some locals. Mei asked the market vendors if anyone had seen something suspicious. A fruit seller recalled seeing a cart loaded with something large, heading toward the bamboo forest. Chapter 4. Into the bamboo forest. The children ventured into the forest, a place both exciting and a little eerie. They followed the tracks, but they soon disappeared among the dense bamboo shoots. Just as they began to lose hope, Gia pointed out a piece of bright red paper snagged on a branch. "It's from the Firecracker," she exclaimed. Encouraged, they pressed on. Eventually, hearing faint voices, they crouched behind the bamboo and saw two mischievous boys, Lin and Bo, known troublemakers from a neighboring village. They were struggling to move the enormous firecracker toward a clearing. Chapter 5: The Confrontation. The children stepped forward, surprising Lin and Bo. "Why did you take the firecracker?" Ming demanded. Lin hesitated before confessing. "Our village doesn't have a big celebration like yours. We just wanted to borrow it for our festival." The children were torn. May, always brave, said, "You should have asked. Stealing isn't the answer." But Gia, thoughtful as ever, suggested, "Maybe we can find a way to help both villages celebrate." Chapter 6: A Plan for Unity. The group brainstormed and came up with a plan to bring both villages together for a shared celebration. Lin and Bo, ashamed of their actions, agreed to help move the firecracker back to Lianhua. The children worked tirelessly, rallying the villagers to prepare extra food and decorations to welcome their neighbors. The idea of a joint celebration spread excitement, and soon both villages were bustling with activity. Chapter 7: The Festival. On New Year's Eve, the villagers from Lianhua and the neighboring village gathered in the square. The grand firecracker was proudly displayed, and Mr. Zhang gave a heartfelt speech about the importance of community and forgiveness. When the firecracker was lit, it exploded in a dazzling display of light and sound, drawing cheers and laughter from everyone. Ming and his friends watched with pride, knowing they had not only saved the festival, but also brought two communities closer together. Chapter 8: Lessons Learned. In the days that followed, the two villages began collaborating on more events, from harvest festivals to markets. The children were hailed as heroes, but they humbly reminded everyone that it was the spirit of unity and cooperation that had made the celebration a success. Lin and Bo, once known for their mischief, became regular visitors to Lianhua, often helping with village chores and learning to contribute positively. Epilogue. A new tradition. The villagers decided to make the joint celebration an annual tradition. Every New Year's Eve, they would remember the time a missing firecracker turned into an opportunity for connection and growth. As fireworks lit up the sky the following year, Ming, Lei, Mei, and Jia smiled, knowing they had helped create something truly magical, a legacy of unity that would last for generations. This heartwarming tale of problem-solving, forgiveness, and collaboration teaches children the importance of community spirit and the power of working together to overcome challenges. In the peaceful town of Heping, New Year celebrations had always been simple but warm. However, this year, the villagers were subdued. A bad harvest, coupled with unkind weather, left little room for extravagance. Red lanterns hung sparsely, and the streets, usually bustling with festive joy, were quiet. May, a young girl with a love for art, felt particularly disheartened. She often painted vivid scenes of dragons, blooming flowers, and soaring kites, but her canvases didn't seem enough to lift everyone's spirits. As she wandered the outskirts of the town, she wished for a way to bring happiness back to Heping. On New Year's Eve, May strolled through the nearby forest, lost in thought. As she reached a clearing, an elderly woman with a kind face appeared, holding a beautifully crafted fan. The fan was unlike anything May had seen. Its delicate frame shimmered as if kissed by moonlight, and its fabric was painted with intricate designs. The woman smiled. "This is the magic fan," she said. "It has the power to turn imagination into reality. Use it wisely, for its magic grows strongest when it brings joy to others." Before May could ask questions, the woman disappeared, leaving the fan in her hands. Excited yet unsure, May returned to her home. She opened the fan and waved it experimentally. To her astonishment, colorful trails of light burst forth, forming a dragon that danced across the night sky before dissolving into sparkles. Realizing the fan's potential, May decided to use it to brighten the New Year celebration. She rushed to the village square, where families were gathering for a modest feast. "I have a surprise," she announced, holding up the fan. As the villagers watched, May waved the fan. Streaks of gold and crimson erupted, forming fire-breathing dragons and galloping horses. She painted blooming cherry blossoms, cascading waterfalls, and lanterns floating gently in the air. Gasps of amazement turned into cheers as the once dull sky became a canvas of vibrant images. Children laughed, adults clapped, and the town square buzzed with renewed energy. May's fan transformed the celebration into something magical. The next day, May learned that a neighboring town, Xingfu, had cancelled their New Year festivities entirely due to a devastating flood. The villagers there were heartbroken, with no decorations, no food, and no hope. Determined to share the joy she had brought to Heping, May convinced her fellow villagers to accompany her to Xingfu. Together, they carried the magic fan, food, and lanterns to the struggling town. In Xingfu, May used the fan to paint a sky filled with hope. She created a golden sun rising over waves of blue light, symbolizing renewal and strength. Her images brought smiles to faces that hadn't smiled in weeks. Heping villagers shared their food, sang songs, and lit lanterns, uniting the two towns in celebration. As the night progressed, the bond between the communities grew stronger, and the spirit of the new year returned in full force. May's simple wish to brighten her town had blossomed into a legacy that spread far beyond Heping. As May continued to wave the fan, it began to glow brighter, and the elderly woman from the forest reappeared. "You've understood the fan's true purpose," she said. "Its magic lies not just in creating beauty, but in bringing people together and spreading joy. You've used it wisely, May, and for that, its magic will always be with you." With those words, the woman faded, but the fan remained in May's hands, its colors more vibrant than ever. From that year forward, May and her magic fan became a symbol of hope and unity. Every new year, she traveled to towns and villages, painting the skies with images that brought people together. Her story inspired others to share what they had, no matter how little, and to find joy in community and kindness. May's journey reminds readers that joy is strongest when shared, making it a perfect bedtime tale filled with magic and heartwarming lessons. Chapter 1. The Gathering. It had been centuries since the great race that determined the order of the Chinese Zodiac. Each year, the 12 animals, rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig, celebrated their roles with pride. However, as the new year approached, the Jade Emperor suggested they relive the excitement of the race to bring joy and teach new lessons to humanity. "Let's make it a friendly competition," the Jade Emperor announced. "The race will not only test your speed, but your character and ability to work together." The animals, eager to showcase their talents, agreed enthusiastically. Chapter 2. Preparing for the race. The animals gathered at the starting line by a great river. Memories of the first race filled the air. Rat and ox, who had teamed up in the past, exchanged knowing glances. Tiger flexed his claws, confident in his strength, while Dragon stretched his wings, reminding everyone he could fly. Rabbit, always competitive, sharpened her focus, and Horse and Goat, who had grown close over the years, decided to stick together. Meanwhile, Monkey and Rooster whispered a mischievous plan, and Dog and Pig shared snacks, laughing at the excitement. Chapter 3. The race begins. At the sound of the Jade Emperor's gong, the animals surged forward. Rat quickly leaped onto Ox's back, repeating his earlier strategy. Ox chuckled, already expecting it. Tiger bounded ahead, his powerful strides shaking the ground, while Rabbit darted through the grass, her small size allowing her to weave past obstacles. Dragon soared above, his vantage point giving him a clear view of the course. Below, Snake slithered gracefully through the reeds, while Horse and Goat trotted side by side, helping each other navigate tricky terrain. Chapter 4. Challenges along the way. The path was filled with obstacles, designed by the Jade Emperor to test their cooperation. The first was a wide chasm. Dragon, noticing Rabbit hesitating, swooped down to carry her across. "Even the fastest need a helping hand," Dragon said with a grin, leaving Rabbit slightly flustered but grateful. Further along, a muddy bog trapped Monkey and Rooster. Horse and Goat arrived and used a fallen log to create a bridge. "Let's work together," Goat urged. The four crossed safely, their bond strengthening with every step. Chapter 5. Teamwork emerges. At the river crossing, the final challenge awaited. The current was strong, and each animal faced difficulty. Pig, usually underestimated, built a raft from nearby wood. Dog helped tie it together, while Snake guided the raft, her agile body acting as a rudder. Ox, the strongest swimmer, offered to tow the raft, while Tiger and Dragon worked together to create a barrier against the current. "We're stronger together," Dragon shouted, his fiery breath dispersing the mist. Chapter 6. A new perspective. As the animals neared the finish line, they realized they were no longer competing against each other, but working toward a common goal. Rat, who had been quietly observing, chose not to leap ahead this time. Instead, he jumped back to help Pig, who was struggling to keep up. Even Rabbit, who had often prioritized winning, paused to guide Goat through the rocky path. The camaraderie among the animals transformed the race into something far greater than a competition. Chapter 7. The finish line. The animals crossed the finish line together, a tangle of muddy, wet and laughing friends. The Jade Emperor clapped his hands in delight. "This is the true spirit of the Zodiac," he declared. "You have shown that unity and compassion are far more valuable than speed or strength alone. Let this race be a lesson to humanity about the power of teamwork and kindness." Chapter 8. A new tradition. From that day on, the Zodiac's race became an annual event, not to determine winners, but to celebrate unity and perseverance. The animals shared their story with humans, inspiring villages and towns to work together during the New Year celebrations. Each animal's unique qualities contributed to their success: rat's cleverness, ox's strength, tiger's courage, rabbit's agility, dragon's wisdom, snake's grace, horse's endurance, goat's resourcefulness, monkey's creativity, rooster's precision, dog's loyalty, and pig's generosity. Together, they became a symbol of harmony and collaboration, reminding all who celebrated the new year that the greatest achievements come when hearts and hands unite. This heartwarming tale of the Zodiac animal's second race highlights the importance of teamwork, empathy, and the value of unique strengths. It's a perfect bedtime story, filled with adventure, humor, and meaningful lessons for children and families alike. Chapter 1. The preparations. As the new year approached, the village bustled with activity. Bright red lanterns hung from doorways, the smell of dumplings wafted through the air, and children chased each other with firecrackers. Among them was a boy named Wei, who had always admired his grandfather's skilled hands. Grandpa Li was the village's master knot maker, known for creating intricate, symbolic knots that were said to bring good fortune, health, and prosperity. This year, Grandpa Li announced that Wei was old enough to help him prepare lucky knots for the village. "Each knot carries a story," Grandpa Li explained as they sat in his workshop, surrounded by spools of red silk cord. "When you tie it with care, it holds the hopes and wishes of the one who receives it." Chapter 2. Learning the basics. Wei's first attempts were clumsy. The silk cords tangled in his small fingers, and his knots turned into shapeless lumps. "Patience," Grandpa Li said, untangling the cords with a smile. "Knots are like life. You must work through each twist and turn with care." As Wei practiced, Grandpa Li began to tell him the stories behind each knot. The double coin knot represented wealth. The butterfly knot symbolized love. And the cloverleaf knot brought health and longevity. Wei listened intently, his respect for the craft growing with every story. Chapter 3. The village requests. As the news spread that Grandpa Li and Wei were making knots, villagers began to visit their workshop with requests. A farmer wanted a good harvest knot, a young couple requested a knot for their wedding, and a merchant sought a knot to protect his journeys. Grandpa Li entrusted Wei with simpler designs, while he worked on the more intricate ones. Wei's hands grew steadier, and his knots became neater. With each completed piece, he felt a sense of pride, knowing the knots carried wishes for the people he knew and cared for. Chapter 4. A special knot. One evening, Wei found his grandfather staring at a frayed piece of cord. "What's wrong, Grandpa?" he asked. Grandpa Li sighed. This was part of the family knot your great-grandfather made. It brought our family luck for generations, but it's worn out now. Wei's eyes lit up. Can we make a new one? Grandpa Lee hesitated. A family knot must be unique, carrying the essence of our family's journey. It's not an easy task. Determined, Wei spent the night sketching designs. He thought about their family, Grandpa's wisdom, his parents' hard work, and the love that bound them together. By morning, he presented his idea, a knot that combined elements of strength, unity, and hope. Chapter 5. The Knot of Love and Unity. Together, Grandpa Lee and Wei began creating the new family knot. It was a complex design that required precision and teamwork. Grandpa guided Wei's hands, showing him how to weave the threads into intricate patterns. Wei's fingers moved with newfound confidence, fueled by his desire to honor his family. As they worked, Grandpa Lee shared stories of their ancestors, a fisherman who braved storms, a farmer who nurtured the land, and a scholar who taught wisdom. Each story added a layer of meaning to the knot. Chapter 6. A New Year's Blessing. On New Year's Eve, the family gathered to hang the new knot in their home. Wei felt a surge of pride as he saw the knot gleaming in the candlelight. Grandpa Lee placed a hand on Wei's shoulder. You've not only made a knot, but you've woven the spirit of our family into it. This will guide us for generations. The villagers came to admire the knot, and Grandpa Lee explained its meaning. Inspired, many asked for knots that reflected their own family stories. Wei realized that knots were more than decorations. They were symbols of love, history, and dreams. Chapter 7. Carrying on the tradition. As the New Year celebrations began, the village glowed with the light of lanterns and the shimmer of red knots. Wei watched as his grandfather tied a knot for a young child and saw himself reflected in the child's eager eyes. From that day forward, Wei became not just an apprentice, but a partner in Grandpa Lee's craft. Together, they continued to make knots that carried the hopes and wishes of the village, ensuring that the art of knot making and the love it represented would never be forgotten. Grandpa's Lucky Knots is a heartwarming tale of tradition, family, and the enduring power of craftsmanship. Through his journey, Wei learns that true luck lies not in the knots themselves, but in the love and care with which they are made and shared. If you like our stories, please like, subscribe, and turn on the little bell so you won't miss exciting stories every day. You are also welcome to share it with family and friends to listen to the story together. Love you.